Hello everybody and welcome back to the Eco Posh for You YouTube channel. Today we're going to be looking at some comments that were made regarding Posh shows and Posh show hosts and people in the Posh shows being quote-unquote middle-aged mean girls, being cliquey, etc, etc. So this is a post that somebody made this week on Reddit, and they said, there have been some great sellers and hosts to these shows who respond to questions, but something I've noticed is that some of these hosts get really cliquish within them. I'm in there just trying to ask fabric or measurements, and the host is only responding to quote-unquote friends or people who brown nose them. This isn't meant to be snarky, it's honestly something I've noticed and turns me off from buying. My first thought is that they just aren't seeing it, but it kept happening to multiple new people in these shows. I'm not used to that. I easily steer clear of that behavior in waking life and find it really disturbing when I'm in it and having to deal with it. I'm pretty comfortable with who I am, so I just usually give up and leave the shows, but it has happened with certain sellers and it puts a bad taste in my mouth for Posh shows in general. I'll definitely still buy from the more professional sellers I like, but it just seems like a weird Mean Girls world of 45-year-olds. Anyone else notice this? So we're gonna look through the comments on this and then I'm going to give you my personal opinion. Okay, so the first response is, in addition to being cliquey, the friends will help increase the host sales by bidding on an item so that the price rises. This is shill bidding and it's against TOS. I steer clear of hosts that pick favorites and have a special VIP list. It's a waste of time and energy. Yes, one particular show comes to mind. The seller actually sold something super cheap to her quote-unquote friend during the show because she knew only she was bidding on it when everything else was starting much higher. Left a bad taste in my mouth. I never went back after that. Okay, here's another one. There's one show I've gone to a couple times that's like this. The person sometimes shares our listings, but she's extremely snarky about everything, and she definitely favors a few people. She always ignores my requests or comments. It's frustrating, but I've made a sale or two from it, so I went back. But now I'm so over it, it's not worth dealing with the pettiness. Let's see. Yeah, I definitely get not in the circle vibe on many shows. Show friends are always necessary to help moderate the chat and assist the host with buyer request questions, but I always auction to the crowd and not just my friends. I invite everyone to chat and I prompt the crowd with questions that everybody can answer, not just my friends. I also personally invite poshers I don't know well to be in the first tray to keep the people in my room diverse and not just the same every week. I learned a lot in the first couple months of doing community shows. It's definitely a fine balance of having dedicated friends come support, but also take a back seat. I've tuned into shows where the comments are nothing but personal gossip. It's clear that everyone attending the show knows each other by real name and they're talking about their kids and their bathroom remodel and their vacation. In shows like this, selling seems to be an afterthought, and I'm repeatedly asking what fabric is that skirt and getting ignored. I agree, I usually don't care for them, but there have been a few where it's sharing mine and yours, and they'll share 10 of their items before bothering to share one other people's items, and it's the same 2 or 3 people. So there'll be multiple people's items that are never shared. What makes it worse is when the host calls us out saying, I'll get to you, but then they never do because they get tired. So basically they string us along for 3 hours. Let's see, the share shows can be the worst. Some hosts will run their friends' items over and over. Meanwhile, people have been waiting their turn in the tray for an hour or more, while she begs them to buy her friend's items for the 4th run. Let's see, someone answered, sometimes we do that because the friend is working the show moderating. Let's see, and someone said, yes, it's so weird, makes you feel like you're intruding on their lunch table if you actually have a question on an item. Let's see, gosh, sounds like those awful LLR lives on Facebook. Hard pass based on the Mean Girls BS. Oh yes, there are a couple hosts who have bragged on other social media about doing this on purpose. Blew my mind. Who wants to buy from that? I don't know. I'm not in them to see one, but definitely see some weirdness from outside. I'm an admin for a show with almost 200 people on the regular. If you don't do your own shows, it's hard to understand how hard it is sometimes. Your situation is most likely very different, but there are 3 admins for this show and we can barely keep up. The host runs extra items for us as a thank you for our work. The host is talking, hitting request to auction, adding and removing items, and don't see all the conversation. Too much going on, we help with that. Every show is different. Find a few you love. Let's see. I have some shows where I really like the conversation, but also the regulars will repeat questions missed by the host, so if they're aware there should still be some focus on the selling. Others are a total disaster. Win some, lose some. So my thoughts on this are that you need to be welcoming to everybody in the room, and I do think it's a good idea if you're mostly just running a show where maybe some of your regulars, some of your PFFs are in there, that maybe when new people come in, you try to run their things first, just out of courtesy, and also to maybe make people feel more comfortable. So that would be my suggestion. Make sure you speak to everybody and just be as welcoming as you can.